For all three of you that were wondering what happened with the epoxy coated concrete, I'll finish that project up today hopefully, and we'll have a little gander at what is possible. Now, interestingly, there's really no perceptible difference between the left and the right half. So I'm going to say that you wouldn't need to flame the surface in order to drive out the bubbles, but it's probably one of those things where if you can do it, you should, because if it doesn't happen to work for you, then you're kind of stuck, right? So I think that might be the thinking on that. Just drive those bubbles out immediately and then not worry about it later. So the surface, however, is somewhat uneven. I don't know if I can get that here. It seems pretty good in the camera here. But you can see there are some dips and bumps, and that's possibly because it's soaked in or I didn't coat it enough. It's not perfectly smooth. So my next question is, can I polish this? And that's what I'm going to try now. Also, there is, like, where the bubbles burst at the surface, it's kind of not, I wouldn't say dimpled, but just slightly disfigured. So there, you can see that it's got like a just a minuscule pebbled feel to it, and that's probably, if I had to guess, which I am doing, is because the epoxy is quite thick. So when those bubbles burst, they don't necessarily have enough gravity in them to pull them back flat. So let's see if we can't polish that up. In any case, I mean, it looks okay, and you certainly could use this. It would be nicer if it was thinner, then you would have a flatter surface, and you know, any bubbles would dissipate as a result. But anyway, it's perfectly usable, and if it's polishable, then even better. However, the sheen is not what I want. I don't want that glossy thing for my Orca coffee table, so I may look at actually buying some actual reasonable product for this, but we'll see. Anyway, on with the polishing. So you definitely could polish it. All of those little bubbly things are gone now. It's a very smooth surface. This shit is hard as fucking nails, man. You know, this grinder is these are diamond embedded pads, and you know, it's pretty tough to scratch the surface of this. So good stuff, I guess, but maybe not the droid I'm looking for in this case. I did finish up with some wet dry sandpaper, some 3000 grit wet dry sandpaper, and that does seem to be necessary. I don't think the rotary tool is just a little bit too aggressive, and plus you really have to keep it wet because, you know, friction is your enemy in this case. So I have one more thought here, and that is it possible just to, like, ever so slightly melt the surface to get rid of the cloudiness, and bringing out Mr. Blowtorch for that. And we'll just take her down a notch here and see if what happens. 75 maybe. Something bad's happening to the surface. It's cracking. Yeah, 170. Alright, let's see, what is that? Is that actually just... is it melting or just becoming brittle? It's just becoming brittle. Yeah. Yeah, fascinating. So there is no... there's no in-between point there. Once she's polymerized, that's the end of the story. So yeah, you can polish it, I think. Although it would be nice to see, you know, it actually polished before you actually Yeah, don't take my word for it. So, pretty amazing shit, that epoxy. Of course, every little experiment leads to another question. I was thinking about how do you thin this stuff down? And then I looked up what makes plastics more soft, and it turns out that it's called diethyl phthalate as an additive. And I, of course, don't have any diethyl phthalate, or do I? In a tofu container, and I'm just going to do this by, you know, weight instead of volume. I assume that's all right. These would probably have close enough densities, maybe.